Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special online live presentation from Dime by OESD. My name is Aine McCarthy, and I will be your educator for the next 90 minutes as we explore some new, creative, and really unique stitches that you can now do with your embroidery machine. Now, we're going to get started pretty soon, but we bring you these great programs through the generous sponsorship and partnership with great organizations like Embroidery Garden. And once again, I am so thrilled to bring in my dear friend, Reen Wilcoxon from Embroidery Garden. Reen, hello. How are you? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Aine. Doing great.
Great. I know you've been so busy with great holiday projects for all of your viewers to do for gifts just in time for the holidays. What have you done so far?
Oh, I've done a lot of some of the things I've done is just sewing, because I like to sew just once in a while, but I've done quite a few embroidery projects and just like everyone else, I'm scrambling to get things done.
Right. All right. We all are, aren't we? And you
Oh,
know what,
yeah.
you guys got to be a couple of times in the program today. I think that you're going to see some things that maybe you want to do for yourself. And one of them is this fabulous software, Reen, that I know that you use all the time. You're a very big fan of Dime software, helped us develop one of our latest programs. But in special effects, this software that we're going to talk about today, the embroidery effects are just really out of this world.
They are. I mean, I don't know if you can see that little tree hanging behind me, but I use the chenille technique on that. And it's just so cute. All of the effects that you can do with the software, from I know you're going to talk about them all, but the 3D foam, the mylar, it's just all wonderful and so easy to do.
And I do remember a very cool Halloween themed, as long as we're talking about the holidays, Halloween themed quilt that you did where you used that chenille technique on, of all things, cuddle, right? Cuddle fabric.
Yes. And actually that tree behind me is cuddle fabric also. So, I just right out of the program, brought in the artwork, click, get the chenille effect done, and that was it. It was easy as that.
That's awesome. I know you're so creative with those things, and I just love to see all of your projects. So tell people how they can follow you on your Facebook group or your YouTube channel.
You can find me on Facebook, Embroidery Garden. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm also have a YouTube channel. And, I kind of plan on doing more kind of live events, demos, and things in 2026. So subscribe to that and catch me when you can.
Yay. And that's always something to look forward to. Now, Reen, stay right there because I'm going to bring in another dear friend of yours, and that is our own Tammy Madden, who is an educator. She is also brings a lot of expertise in embroidery, quilting, in the hoop projects, which we all love, but especially these special effects. Hey, Tammy, thanks for being my co-host today.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure here, especially today. Ring brings people from all over the world. So we have people from all over the world. I saw someone from New Zealand, and Ring was wanting to know what time is it in New Zealand. So if you could just let us know what time you are there in New Zealand. We always like to see how far of a difference it is. Sometimes people get up early in the morning to watch us, that they're across the world. So welcome. Just to remind everyone that I'm going to be over here in the chat with you guys for the next 90 minutes as Aine shows you all these special effects that can be done with your embroidery machine. Now, that's where you can ask all those questions that you have that may pop up, because throughout the presentation, Aine and I will be getting back together. I can bring some of those questions over to Aine because Aine likes to know what we're chit-chatting over here, and she likes me to bring her all of the hard questions. She
Oh
likes
my
to see if I
God.
can stump the educator.
Yeah, stump the educator. That's right. Yeah, thanks a lot, Tammy. That would be great. And listen, you guys, full disclosure, up until 15 seconds before we went on air, my internet decided to give me some fits. So if it decides to lay down and die again, then Tammy is already set up, ready to be on deck, ready to fill in. So bear with us. You know how this
That's
live
right.
presentations go. So you might be seeing a train wreck happen today. So,
Okay, we're live, right? And just to read, just to see, let you know, it's 4 a.m. Friday morning in New Zealand.
Nice.
4 a.m. Friday morning. Okay. Wow. Wow. Well, get that
Tita
coffee
is up
going.
early just to watch us, right?
That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
okay. You know what, you guys? Thank you, Reen, for sponsoring. Tammy, I think I'm going to see you in about 30 minutes. So let's get started, shall we? Great. And again, thank you all for viewing. We are going to talk about some of the newest, most creative and unique embroidery stitches that you've ever done. I mean, take a look at this picture. All of these are done with our feature software. I mean, take a look at those canister covers. That's not fabric there. That's embroidery stitches. Yeah, embroidery stitch pattern that you can use for text or for shapes. And we will also talk about a technique that Reen mentioned, and that is this rich texture of chenille, faux chenille, done right on your embroidery machine. And talk about texture. I'm going to show you how to do fringe, either fringe as a picture of embroidery stitches, or maybe as a little accent on your embroidery projects. And nothing like 3D embroidery foam to bring depth and texture to your embroidery designs. We've also got some great color effects, and we're going to call them prism and ombre, and I'll be showing you those. And we're going to look at the shimmer and shine that Mylar brings to our embroidery designs. Now, here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to see how these special embroidery effects are created quickly and easily with our feature software. I'm going to show you how to add these specialty techniques to very simple artwork. And I'll show you tips on how to do these, the tools that you need, and the techniques that you're going to be using. And of course, Dime by OESD is going to bring you choices for stabilizer, needles, and of course, thread. Now, this is a learn and shop event. Now, here's how it's going to work. You're going to watch me in the video window, and I'm going to show you slides, software demonstrations, and samples, a lot of samples to get you inspired for the maybe stitching a few last minute gifts for the holidays. And then right next door, there's the chat pane. That's where Tammy is, and she's waiting for you to comment, ask questions, tell us what time it is where you're viewing. We would love to know. And the shop part of this allows you to purchase products at special prices. That means we have a lot of things on sale, and you can watch the replay and shop. Ooh, not for the next 48 hours like it says there, but that's one of the good things about having these events on a Thursday. We're going to leave that shopping plaza open and that rewatch option open clear through the weekend. So clear through Sunday night. So shop early, shop often, rewatch the program as many times as you want, and have fun. Now, take a look underneath the video window, and this is what you'll see. Little pictures of everything that we have selected to be on sale. And then there's a green view product bar underneath each. Click that, and that's where you'll get more information about the product. And you may have to pick a color or a size. That's where you do that. And then you'll add it to your cart. You'll build your shopping cart. It'll appear off to the side there. And then when you're ready to check out, you're going to go to a window that looks kind of like this. But the most important part of that window are the words show order summary. Click that, because then you'll get a summary of everything in your shopping cart. You can give it the once over. And there's a very important window. See the words discount code. I've circled it in red. Discount code, maybe gift card is in there too. That is your magic window where you're going to put maybe not one, but I've got 2 discount codes for you. Now, here's how they work. Here's the first one. If your pre-tax purchases get to $150 or more, then the discount you put in is CRAFT, C-R-A-F-T. And when you put in that code, you're going to get free shipping to any address in the United States. But wait, there's another one. If you get to $250 or more, then your second discount code you want to add is CRAFT10. Type in CRAFT, you'll get the free shipping. CRAFT10, when you add it, is going to get you an additional 10% discount off of everything in your cart. That's what that means, CRAFT10 for 10%. So $250 is the price break that you want to get to, and that's going to get you the best discounts. So will these. We've got bundles, and when manufacturers bundle, that's when you're going to save. So we've got the software in a bundle, and we've got all of the essential tools for our projects in a bundle. I'll be talking to you about these, but just know that we've got more deals for you. And we have something free for you. A little design for a strawberry cupcake, a strawberry on a chocolate cupcake. And it's kind of our way of saying thank you for your great support of Dime, now member of the OESD family, and our partners like Embroidery Garden. Now, this strawberry cupcake has been specifically digitized to have 5 of the effects that we're going to be talking about. So, for example, the strawberry on top of that chocolate cupcake is for Mylar. The seeds are actually used 3D foam. The leaves there are fringe. The cupcake paper-like thing is a chenille stitch. And also then the chocolate cupcake itself, or maybe the icing, if you will, is our new varsity fill stitch. Now go all the way to the end of the product list, add that to your cart at no charge, and then watch your email, because that's how we will send you a link to download the instructions and the design file. Okay. All right. Let's go see some samples, because you will love some of these samples that we have to show you. So I'm going to go to the camera. So first of all, this is the software that we're going to feature today. So take a look, find that in the shopping plaza, and make sure that you add that to your cart. This is a very fun, robust software, and wait till you see it. Now, here's your little strawberry cupcake. Look at that. So see, the leaves here are fringe. The mylar makes up the strawberry, and I can't quite turn it so that it shimmers, but these seeds, now if I turn that to the side, see the seeds are up above the surface. That's got foam underneath it. This is the chenille, and then that rich chocolate for the cupcake. Now, take a good look at this, because I'm going to show you several videos that show you these techniques when they're being stitched out. So you will see this design stitched out in its entirety throughout the program. So there you go. There's your free design. But let's see what else we have. Take a look at these. So here's this actual plaid design. It looks like this is applique, right? These are stitches in various types of plaid, not only for text, but also see this heart shape that has that plaid design in it. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about foam, not only for shapes, but also for a text. Isn't that rich foam? I know you've seen this. This is on, ball caps and sportswear. We'll talk about embroidery foam. And take a look at this. This shows a couple of different effects. We've got the mylar underneath the unicorn, and underneath the text here, we've got planks of color from our prism feature in the unicorn's mane, and also King Star Metallic for the unicorn, for the horn, and also for the magic wand. That cute. And we've got a couple of designs that show a lot of the effects combined, which is so unique. Now, take a good look at these, because these 3 are the 3 designs that are included in the Essentials bundle. So we've got a watermelon digitized for mylar with 3D foam seeds, and also in the border. We've got a little birdie whose body is chenille and whose little tail there is a fringe element. And then this great paw print. This is the varsity fill done with a variegated thread on glitter HTV. So again, these are the 3 designs that you're going to be getting. And we've got one of the most popular techniques in machine embroidery, and that is the emboss, both for letters and also for designs, where you stitch down the nap of the fabric so that the design shows through. And that rich texture of chenille in a lot of different ways. And this one is done on a trivet, on a little pot holder. Isn't that cool? And look at this chenille. Look at what you can do in some of these effects. The chenille, chenilled printed fabric, the face and the muzzle of the little cow is HTV. It's Strip Flock Pro from Caesar. And so we're going to show you how to combine so many of these effects. And I can't wait. So let's go back to the presentation here and let's see how these effects, how all this magic happens. And that is with our special effects software, where these unique effects are truly one click away. There's a number of different special effects in here. And as you saw in the samples, you can combine them for really unique and stunning designs and projects. There are artwork outlines included, over 660, and there's over 1,300 designs that are ready to stitch out. So that'll get you started right off the bat. You can create lettering with your true type text function. So basically your lettering options are unlimited. There's powerful artwork shaping and editing tools so that you can even create your own artwork. And of course, alignment, editing, placement tools that you would need. So what kind of special effects do we have here? Well, you saw some of them in the samples. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them all at once. I'm going to group them so that we can talk about them like in 3 different groups. And the first one has to do with color, texture, and pattern. So that's the first group of effects that we're going to talk about. And we name them Varsity, Prism, Plaid, and Ombre. All right, so let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about Varsity. This is so trendy. This is a special stitch that resembles the letters that we used to wear in high school and in college, on Letterman jackets, on those college sweaters, on our cheerleading outfits. In fact, take a look at the photo here. Look at the lower right, you guys. Look at the cheerleading squad there. Okay, watch. That's me, and that's my sister. Yes, we were on the same cheerleading squad together in high school. So I bet a lot of you guys were cheerleaders out there. Hey, let me know in the chat. I'd love to know if you were a cheerleader and what school you cheered for. Anyway, I digress. So those letter sweaters, those cheerleader sweaters, that's replicated in this Varsity fill. It's a double layer fill stitch that's rich in texture and depth. And we can put it on artwork shapes, on letters, on text. It looks fabulous. Especially really good if you're using it for a sports theme. So think about that. And you can put outlines around the letters. You can put them on patches. It really is pretty versatile. Now, here's my first tip for stabilizer. For this Varsity fill, since it is a pretty dense stitch because it is fill stitches, then I would recommend you use a medium weight soft tearaway. A soft tearaway. Yeah, there's 2 kinds of tearaway. There's a soft tearaway. There's a firm tearaway. The firm tearaway tears like paper, really cleanly. The soft tearaway also tears away easily, but it leaves a little bit of a ragged edge because it's got a higher polyester content. So that means that it is going to stand up to these heavy fill stitches without ripping away, especially important when you need to do that satin stitch outline around that letter or that design, because you don't want it perforating that tearaway and having it fall apart. So medium weight soft tearaway, which we have in the shopping plaza and it's on sale, is what you want to use for the Varsity fill. Okay, on to the next one, the prism effect. This effect brings fields of color to your design in custom sized stripes. It automatically applies color stops for thread changes. It looks like it might be variegated thread, but it's not. It's color changes. Now this is very versatile because you can use it in a run stitch, a fill stitch, a satin stitch, a steel stitch, or choose from any of the hundreds of artwork images that we've got in the software. So this is the prism effect. And as you can see, it was the one that we used for that unicorn on that little girl's t-shirt. And look at the snow cone. This illustrates all of the options. You can put it in a run stitch that is outlining the snow cone, the fill stitches, which is the snow cone itself, or the satin stitches of the letters. This is a really great effect. But this one I think is my favorite. They're all my favorite, but this one is really my favorite. And this is the plaid effect. This is a plaid fill. It automatically creates a run stitch based pattern of stripes. And you can put this on artwork or on an existing fill stitch. You can change it to a plaid. You can customize the direction and the width of the stripes. You can even do it in multicolor. So this one, the sky's the limit. I mean, take a look at some of these. That lemon in that upper left on that towel, that's plaid. It's hard to tell with the yellow, but that's a plaid lemon. I bet you've never seen one. And of course, you saw that sample. Now, I wanted to call out that heart shape. That was an original design, an existing design, a third-party design, and that heart was just all fill. But with one click, we changed it to this plaid pattern. That cool? You can make a plaid bunny. You can make plaid kitty cats. And look at all those kitty cats there. It illustrates all of the different types of plaid that you can customize and make them your own. Right? The next one is called ombre. Now, this effect, ombre means that it's a gradual shading of colors from one color to the next. We see it in hair, we see it in nail art, and now we can see it in our embroidery. Now, this special effects creates a color pattern with a gradual change from one color to the next. And we do it by layering two fill stitch layers that have gradually changing density so that it gradually changes. It's a really cool effect. And you can use it for text, for shapes, and it really looks cool. It does really look cool on text. But think about it. If you're doing a sunset, try this ombre. If you're doing a autumn leaf, try this ombre effect. And you can see in the photos there how cool it looks when you're doing it with text. And I'll show you how easy it is to do that. And we're going to do that right now. So let's take a look at the software and see how easy it is to do some of these cool effects. Right? So first of all, I just want to give you a kind of a tour of the software. And if you're familiar with Dime software, then this platform is familiar to you. So that we've got icons all across the top, down the side there, and that's how we execute the functions. Now, you don't have to memorize them all, of course not, because watch, if I just hover my mouse over that icon, it tells me what it does with a little pop-up window. And if I want to hover over the mouse, over the icon and press F2, a little video actually comes up and tells me what that icon does, how it works, and what it looks like. So we've got icons all across the top and the left, but you know what? Learning the software is easy because we have an entire library of educational videos on our YouTube channel, and here's how easy it is to get there. I'm going to go to the lower right, and there's a little bitty green shopping cart icon right here, and it hovers and it's purchases. So when I click that, I see the entire list of Dime software, and there's the special effects. Now it's blue, there's an orange check there, and I've got 3 dots that are the options. And when I click that, I see I can go manual or tutorial. Now the tutorial, when I click that, is going to take me right over to YouTube to all of the educational videos. But when I click manual, that's the user's manual that will pop up in just 2 seconds. And it is the entire PDF, all 170 pages of it, that will walk you through all of the features and functions of this special effects software. So there it is, and it's always at your fingertips. All right. This is great. So you know what, but let's just jump in. Let's look at this software and look at what's in there. Now, the heart of the software, I've got 2 icons in that second row. The first one is designs. Now, this is where there's over 1,300 designs that are ready to stitch out. And look at all the categories here. We've got animals, we've got flora, flowers, we've got food and drink, home and kitchen. We've got on the plus, I'm going to click and get all of the subcategories for Christmas, Halloween, miscellaneous, St. Patrick's Day. So all of these, they are ready to stitch out. But what's kind of cool is some of these have these special effects already in them. So you can stitch them out immediately. So for example, I go to the Christmas folder and I got my little elf hat here right in the middle. Let's see that one. That one tells me it's got foam and mylar. So let's take a look at it. I put it on the work page here, and cute little elf hat. And you can see the ribs of the stocking hat. Those have been digitized to use foam underneath it. And the between the ribs, that green part in there, you put mylar on. And in fact, there's notes attached to the design that tells you when to place the mylar and when to place the foam and when to take it off. So this one, ready to stitch out. This would be great on a stocking or a towel or just about anything that you might want for Christmas. All right. So a lot of the designs are like that, and some they are absolutely cute. So let me take that out, but let me show you the next icon, which are the shapes, the frames. And as you can see, we've got lots of categories, but these, as you can see, are outlines. They're just outlines, but they are artwork outlines, which means that you can apply just about any special effect you want with them. And you notice that some of them are just a simple outline, but some of them have pieces, like this hot dish has a lid and the body. And the cup has the cup and the saucer, so that you can apply different effects to each of the different pieces. And the animals, some are just an outline, but some of them, like this cow, this little chick baby, have different pieces to them. So let's, there's those. Okay, so let's look at the first effect, and that is prism. All right, I'm in animals. I think let's get this unicorn that we saw. And not this unicorn, I'll just get the simple unicorn and do a simple demonstration for the prism effect. So there's an outline of a unicorn's head, and I am going to convert it to a fill stitch. So with one click, a right click, I'm going to convert it to a fill stitch, which is properly boring. I wouldn't stitch that out. But if I apply the prism effect to it, now it automatically puts these stripes of color on that fill. That's not the palette I would want with a unicorn, so I can pick from any of these in the drop-down list, and I can even make my own custom palette, which was what I did, and I named it unicorn. So those are more unicorn colors. But see this color bar right here? I can left click and drag and hold these color separators right at these triangles and make the size of those stripes any size that I want. So if I want more lavender, I can do more lavender there. And so that's how you can really customize these. You want more yellow, you want more orange, and there you go. All right. So that's applied just that easily. And that's the prism. Okay, I'll show you in the prism. We saw this in the sample. So this is what you would create. And then this is all of the prism attached to it or applied to it. Like you saw in the run stitch, the snow cone, the paper of the cone, and even the text. And it's just easy to do. It's just as easy as I showed you, just one little click. Let's look at the varsity, because this is also so easy to do. So let me get a new work page, and I am going to make a letter, and I'm going to use my true type text function, and I'll just put that on the work page. And over here in the text box, I will go to my true type text list, which is going to be different from yours, because this picks up the fonts that you have installed on your word processor, on your word creating document. Mine's Microsoft Word. So I have this great letter sweater font that I'm going to use the letter M to show you, and I'm going to make that M 3 inches high, just that easily. All right. So there it is right there. Now I'm going to convert it from this artwork, which is a fill artwork, and I'm just going to convert it to an outline. So there it is. That's the outline of my M. Now I'm going to make two of them. So I'm going to do a quick copy paste right up here in these icons. And you're going to say like, oh, it didn't do anything. Well, yeah, it pastes right on top of itself. And I'll show you how easy it is to see it, because I'm going to turn one of those gold color, and I'll move it off to the side so that you can see it. So see it? There it is. All right. So that's going to lay on top of that one. I'm going to turn this one black. So, okay. So the first one, I can go to my varsity fill icon, and with one click, now that has got that varsity fill in it. You know what? I'm going to turn it, just for the demonstration, I'm going to turn it, I think, this pink color, because what I'm going to show you is it doing a slow redraw so that you can see how this stitches out. So the varsity starts with the outline and then a proper underlay for these fill stitches. And then it goes down and puts a complex fill, probably a tatami fill, on that M. And then it starts in, as you can see, it starts in with that kind of random shaggy fill right on top of that complex fill. And so that's why you need that soft tearaway, because that's a heavy, dense stitch out. All right. So let me turn it black again, because I'm going to show you these were my letter colors. So remember that copy that I put around it? I'm going to turn that into a steel stitch, which gives me that nice outline around that letter. And in fact, if you want it, everybody wants to make sure they have a nice thick steel stitch. It defaults to 3 millimeters, but if you want it to be nice and thick, just make it 4 millimeters if you want, and it does it automatically. But what you can also do is you can, in one click, change that into a foam application, so that if you put 3D foam underneath that gold outline, it's already digitized with the proper density for that letter. There's your letter sweater. There you go. Cool. So now let's go to plaid. Love this. All right. I'm just going to delete that M. I'll use this same workspace. Let's make our own plaid designs, and let's go to the holidays and occasions, and let's go back to Thanksgiving, because this pumpkin is a really good thing to do plaid on, as you're going to see, because see the segments that I have there, and I'm just going to change them. Maybe I'll do it a little bit darker so that you can see the segments. So there's the segment. So if I pick the center one, and in one click, I go to the plaid fill, it's going to put a bean stitch around the outside. That's good. I don't mind that. And there it is. There's the plaid right there. Now I can change the outline of it to a brown, but I can also change the stripes. They're a little bit thick. If I want them to be 6 millimeter wide stripes with a 6 millimeter space, it does it automatically. Let's do another one. I'm going to do the 2 segments on either side of it. So again, select the segments, click the plaid, bean stitch for the outside is fine. But on this one, now I've got a couple of other patterns that I can use, like a diagonal on this one and on this one. I've got a drop down where I can choose that, and I can make the stripes 6, and maybe the holes, the spaces, even smaller. And so see how tight that plaid is. And what if you did 2 for the holes? And so now you've got a really tight plaid, really interesting. So you can see how you can create really cool patterns. Now, let me show you a different one. On this outer segment, there's sometimes maybe that you want a steel stitch on the outside. You can do that, and it just is that easy. So if I pick that, I'll put maybe a diamond pattern on there, and you can do that steel stitch, and you can make that steel stitch as wide as you can. Maybe that would be a good one for the stem. All right. And you can do this to designs that have artwork. You can even do it to existing designs. And I love going into the animals. Now, these are the pre-existing designs in the library and getting the penguin, this guy. He's absolutely adorable. Now, I'm going to apply the plaid to his gray right here. So I ungroup it so that I can find the gray color segment. There it is. And all I have to do is click the plaid. And I'll just do a run stitch for this one because I don't want a steel stitch. And I'm also going to make that a little bit smaller. And look at this. Look at this. He's got a plaid tuxedo on, and I like it. I like the diamond one a lot better. Look at that. Is that cute? Can you guys imagine if you did a couple of animals like this for maybe a kid's quilt or something like this with all of these special effects? That'd be so cool. All right, one more, and then because I'm going to show you the ombre effect. And what I have already staged is a true type text that is perfect for ombre. Now, this is just artwork. There's no stitches, but if I select the whole thing and click the ombre effect to this word dime, it does it automatically. And what it also does is it separates each of the letters so that I can select each letter, and with the color stage down at the bottom, I can right click on the pink and it goes to the turquoise. I go to the next one, right click on the turquoise, and it fades into the yellow. And so I can stage my colors so that they look like they are continuous and flow from one to the next. And you've got this beautiful, beautiful effect. So that's ombre. Okay, let's, I've got more to show you, but let me go to the camera and I'll show you what some of these look like. All right, so here's the prism. I got a whole pile of things here. So here's the prism. And of course, we saw the prism in that unicorn's mane. So that's the prism effect. And we saw it on that snow cone. Let's look at the varsity. Now this is my actual letter that I got when I was in high school. So that's why I did the M in black and the gold. So there we go. And this faux chenille, this chenille right here is what's replicated and what's so popular in these actual letters. These are actual letters purchased from the hobby store, and everybody's just going crazy with these. And you can make letters like this with that varsity fill. And this one I did with King Star Metallic. I put it on glitter HTV and on a piece of OESD favorite felt, and I've got a little monogram there. But take a look at, this is all the varsity fill with different colors. So this is exquisite 40 weight, your regular polyester thread. This is got that key line around it, which you saw how easy it is to do in the software. This is a matte thread. So if you've got quilting thread that's got a matte finish, it doesn't have that shiny finish, you could do that. This is our King Star Metallic. Beautiful, works beautifully, flawlessly, even in that fill stitch. But look at these two. Isn't this fun? This is variegated thread. So this is how variegated looks with that varsity fill. It kind of looks like carpet or something. I don't know. And then this one is just Mylar, but I wanted to tease you with that Mylar technique. We're going to be talking about that. So there's varsity. Lots of different options, especially when you have different thread choices. Okay, the ombre effect. See how gorgeous that is flowing through the text here? And it's your choice of colors. And you can even see this effect, that light to dark on this spool of thread is all of this ombre. Now, what's great is when you apply it to text and then you do something like this. And it answers the question like, yes, you can embroider on plaid towels. But here's the idea. Pick up the color palette in the plaid, reflect it in the ombre colors that you pick in your text and in the flower spray. And now you've got something that is so fun to welcome spring in just a few months. But take a look at, here's the plaid designs that I did for the pumpkin, different plaid designs, and loved it so much I did one in a chicken. This one illustrates when you change the plaid direction or the type, then you can differentiate, maybe the wing from the plaid of the chicken. And also then did it with the turkey. Look, even different colors for the tail. Now, one thing that I will show you is that these are really quick stitches, and look at what I did with Christmas designs. And you guys are seeing them before I wrap them up and send them off for Christmas designs. So gingerbread, the gift, and the stocking, and added these borders to really reflect the Christmas. And did these in King Star Metallic and added the little border here. Beautiful on the red and very festive to hang in your powder room or in your guest bath. And of course, you can do the plaid with negative space and let the negative space be the directions or be the letters there. And also with, look at the trees, different plaids in the trees, and add snowflakes. And you can even combine the effects that we were talking about. So this little Mr. Snowman here has mylar and a plaid hat and scarf. And we've got the elf hat here with a little fringe element that will add to the plaid design. So let me go back to the software. I think we're going back to the presentation here. And let's go to the, I'm going to show you what we are getting when we purchase the software bundle. And that is the SFX software bundle. This bundle, you get the software, you get 3 embroidery software success tutorials, which are written PDFs that are lessons that help you learn the software along with the manual, just one little skill set at a time. And you get a 30-minute lesson with one of the Dime educators so that if you have questions on a project that you're working on, this is the great way to get that. Now, we have all of this for an event price of just at $500, but you know what? This gets that 10% discount. So it's only going to be $450, and you get 10% off of everything in your cart. Whew, we saw a lot there. And you know what? I'm way over time. Tammy, I didn't forget about you, I promise. But let me bring you in. And so far, so good with the internet. I think I'm still here. But let me bring you in to see if we have questions or even comments. There you are.
Well,
Yay.
and you are still here, and I was trying to pick out my favorite new holiday towel that you had.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hard one. But you have my address to send them all.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Go to the mailbox and wait for them, Tammy. I'll send them right off. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what you always tell me.
I think my favorites were these were the deer. And you know, and I will be honest, I actually taught a class on these, and I love the deer, but you know what everybody loved? The snowman with the little
I was gonna say, I
mylar on
like the
it.
snowman. I even like the ornaments where they have the words popped out of them. I mean,
Yeah,
like I said, I couldn't just pick one name. I just couldn't pick one.
I know. I
But we
couldn't
do
either.
have a couple
I just
questions
them
for
all.
you.
Yeah.
Let me get here. Andrea wants to know, is it a standalone software?
Oh, the special effects. Yes. What a great question. It is a standalone software. So when you purchase and download this software, you will get it immediately right after purchase because it's a download. You don't have to wait for a CD or for a USB stick. And it is a standalone software. You do not need anything else. It will operate within our all-encompassing embroidery toolshed platform, but that is just how it comes. And it is Mac and Windows compatible.
And I love that. And speaking of Windows and Mac compatible, Dolores asked a question, can you have the software on more than one PC or iPad?
Yes, yes. Isn't it cool? Because at Dime, we know that maybe you have a PC and a Mac, maybe you have a laptop and a desktop. So we allow you to run 2 activations on one serial number so that you can have it on both of those machines at any one time.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
just to clarify, she asked about iPad and specifically, you cannot do it for iPad because iPad is not a full operation system,
That's
correct?
right. Yeah. So your iPads, your tablets, you have to have the full operation system, the full OS in both Windows and Mac in order to run the software.
All right, and well, that looks like all of our questions for now. So I'm gonna let you get back to it, and we will chat with you a little bit later on.
Okay, Tammy, thank you. So let's go on to our next set of special stitches, and that is fringe and chenille. So now we're getting into the texture stitches. Let's start with chenille. Now, chenille is actually a type of yarn that has fibers sticking out from the core. And you know that anything that's made with chenille yarn, whether it be a sweater or a blanket or a throw or something, is so soft and so warm and so cozy. And in fact, the word chenille is the French word for caterpillar. And for a caterpillar like that in the photo, I understand why. And I also understand why they call pipe cleaners chenilles. Well, actually, we can recreate that faux chenille fabric. And I bet you guys have done this where you have stacked identical layers of fabric, one on top of each other, stitched parallel rows, and then cut the fabric in between the stitches, right? That's a faux chenille look. And you can use that for fabric, for coats. You can use it to make a throw rug, and I bet you've done that. But you can also use chenille for accents, to embellish, for decorations. And I bet you haven't done that before. And now you can do the chenille technique on your embroidery machine because the embroidery machine and the software automatically stitch those parallel rows. You don't have to mark them, you don't have to measure them. The embroidery machine does it, and they are perfect. You can customize the channel size, how wide the stitch rows are apart. You can do them in straight lines, you can do them in wavy lines, and you can customize it to maybe the shape that you're doing. You can put this on text. You can put this on fill stitches, on designs. So it is also very versatile. Now, remember, I was going to show you some videos on stitching out that free design, the cupcake. So here's the first one. Remember, the paper that holds the cupcake is chenille. So here's the steps to doing that chenille on your embroidery machine. So you've got your hoop in the embroidery machine, and the first thing that's going to stitch is a placement stitch, because that tells you where to bring in the base fabric, which is then going to stitch down on your stabilizer or on your host fabric. Then you're going to bring in 1, 2, 3 layers of your chenille fabric. And now the embroidery machine is going to stitch those parallel rows. And it's absolutely perfect. And these are bean stitches that are going to stitch. So they're going to be secure. So once you get the very last of those stitched out, then we're just coming to the end of the cupcake. You're going to take the hoop off the machine, but you're not going to unhoop. What you're going to do now is cut the fabric between the stitch rows. And we're using a chenille cutter, which is a great tool to have to easily and accurately clip all of those rows. Okay, so we got them all clipped. We're back on the machine, and we have placed a layer of water-soluble topper on that chenille because we've got to stitch that placement stitch, which tacks down all that. And without that topper, the needle might get caught. Okay, so now we're back off the machine. We're not unhooped. And now comes the trim time. We are going to trim all of those fabric layers, even that first base layer. Karen K. Buckley scissors are perfect for this. And now here's the fun, where you get that fray brush and now you fuzz out all of those layers. So you clean up, and there's your chenille technique, just as cute. All right, let me show you the fringe. This is an absolutely adorable technique that you can use to add fringe for texture and dimension. You can make a picture out of it, like that rainbow. You can fill a shape like that heart. You can have accents like on the ends of the cactus, or it can even be part of your design, like those pom-poms and the megaphone. You can even make it into a letter. So all you do is take your fringe elements, arrange them in the shape of a letter, stitch them out, release the fringe, and now you got a fuzzy fringe letter. Now, this is what I'm going to use for a lot of the samples. So I've got this fringe stitch out. And as you can see, we've got fringe in shapes, hearts. We've got a fringe layer in that green. It looks like fringe shells. But the word fringe has a very unique type of fringe, which we call a steel. And that's kind of a double fringe. And we're going to see how that works, because we're going to take that stitch out and we're going to make it look like that. And the way we do that is we turn it to the back side. So now you're seeing the reverse side, the back of that stitch out. And in that green arc of the rainbow, you see that white stripe of bobbin thread. Then you're going to take your scissors, the point of your scissors, slide it right underneath that bobbin thread, and you're going to cut it. And that releases that top thread. And that's what's going to make your loopy fringe. Okay. Now look, watch this. This is a video of that cupcake, and we're stitching those leaves in fringe, and we are cutting it with a seam ripper. And those pins that you see keep that seam ripper from going all the way through the fabric. So see that we're just cutting that bobbin thread on those little leaves, which is easy to do, but put that pin in there so that you don't cut your fabric. And then you turn it to the top and you just tease out those loops, and now you got fringy leaves. Absolutely adorable. It's that easy. Here's what's also easy if you're going to use these fringe stitches, and that is using the stitch ripper. Now this will remove those embroidery stitches quickly and easily because it works just like a clipper. We've got two sizes of blades, and you can use it corded or cordless. Now watch this video. Now I'm going to set this up for you. We are on an extreme close-up on the back of that fringe stitch out on those orange letters. So see that white bobbin thread? What you're seeing is a close-up of the head of the stitch ripper. And the video doesn't have any sound, so I'll do the sound effects, okay? So that stitch ripper is just going to go zzz right on that bobbin thread and zzz those out and cut those so that you don't have to worry about a seam ripper. It's going to cut just the bobbin thread. All right, we're repositioning it. And now we're going to do on the other part of the F, and zzz, it just zizzes those out. And then when you can use a seam ripper of your little scissors to clip the last ones of it. But watch now, you can use the tip of your scissors or a stylus or something to just tease out those fringe loops. And now you've got that, and on both sides, this is that steel stitch fringe, that steel fringe. Isn't that cute? So there you go. That's another effect. And you know what fringe looks really good in? Different types of thread, like variegated. So our medley variegated polyester thread, which is in our exquisite line, is a variegated multicolored thread. It's for embroidery, it's for sewing, it's for quilting. I use it in the serger. And we've got lots and lots of cool colors and cool patterns. We've also got the variegated thread in our Color Play 5-spool thread kit. This is also good for fringe because you get that one spool of the variegated, and the other 4 spools are the solids that exactly match the die pattern of the variegated. So you got the red that matches, you got the green that matches, you got the yellow that matches. So let's go back to the software and let's see some more of how to do these magical effects. All right, I'm going to go to a new work page. So let's look at the fringe tool first. You know who needs fringe? A cheerleader. I've got cheerleader kind of on the brain today. Anyway, so let's look at a cheerleader. I've got one right in the artwork. Here's a cheerleader right here. And this cheerleader needs pom-poms right up here, and the fringe is perfect to do. So we've got 2 fringe tools, if you will, 2 fringe ways. The first one is a fringe tool, and then we've also got a fringe shape. So the fringe tool allows you to select from any of these types of fringe elements to put them individually on your design. So let's just pom-pom 1. That's what we're looking for. And so that's what we need. So now when I click on it, every time I left click on the workspace, a little fringe element is dropped, and I can do them 3 right there. Get that last one in there. And let me zoom in on them because I'll show you a few things here. It's way okay to overlap these as long as you don't overlap that center part, because those anchoring stitches in the center are really critical to keeping that fringe together. Can you resize them? You can, but to a certain extent. So I can resize these up to a point, but know that you are limited because the fringe elements are zigzag stitches, so they're satin stitches. And satin stitches only go so wide, 9-10 millimeters at the most. And if it goes any wider than that, then the software will automatically do a split satin, and that won't make fringe. So you can certainly make those a little bit wider. You can move them around however you want. And so you stitch that out, and then we've got pom-poms right there. Easy peasy. The second type of fringe is the fringe shape. And how that works is I've got a couple staged right here. So that you're going to use with artwork, but you've got your option of doing fringe in the outline, which is called stroke, fringe as a fill, which will fill that heart with fringe elements, rows of fringe, which they're straight rows of fringe, which, for a heart probably wouldn't look right, but it might. And then that steel, which is, I'm going to zoom in on that steel. And that's the one that was those orange letters. See that center steel stitch that anchors the fringe elements on either side. Now it's this easy to do the fringe shape. If I'm going to select this heart, and now I'm going to select the fringe shape. And here in the drop-down box, you see the 4 options right here. So the fill, the stroke, the fill, the rows, and the steel. So if I wanted to fill that heart with red fringes, then I would select that from the fringe elements. Maybe I'll fill it with these wings that kind of look like hearts, and it automatically fills that shape with there's a lot of them in there. So I might pick another one, but that's how easy it is to do that. Okay, let's look at the other one that we talked about, which is chenille, and that's just as easy. I'm going to start with a shape, and for chenille, you kind of want a shape that's easy to recognize because that chenille is going to be, just as you saw it, it's going to be fuzzy. So some of these shapes will work better than others. And so I think a teddy bear would work perfectly because that's an easily recognizable shape. And it's great to do maybe for a kid's quilt because you love that texture of chenille. So here's my artwork. And then I'm going to find the chenille icon, which looks just like a inchworm, a caterpillar. That's appropriate. And it gives me a dialog box where I can select whether I want a straight line or any one of these waves. Maybe I'll pick wave 3. I can customize the spacing between the rows. I'm going to leave it at 1/3 of an inch. You can do a 1/2 inch. You can do 1/4 of an inch, whatever you want. And you've got your choice of horizontal, diagonal, vertical. It's going to be important because I'll show you. And then an outline. And I like the steel outline. So let me make this teddy bear just like that. And I can stitch that out. Easy peasy. Now, if I don't like that, I would then go undo back to the artwork and start over. That's easier to do. You can even do this with text. If I wanted to do a true type text right here on the bear, and maybe I'm going to do Arial is always a good one to do, just an Arial black. And I'm going to do maybe a big capital B, apply, and I can do it maybe 3 inches high because it's chenille. And again, go right to the chenille and then apply that with whatever you want. And that's how easy it is. So easy to do. All right, let's go. I think I'm going to go to the samples, and then we'll have Tammy back in to see what questions we have. So let's look at samples. Where are they? They are right here. So first of all, the chenille. Chenille. Everybody's had either a bedspread or a bathrobe made out of this, right? With these unbelievable patterns and designs and colors. I mean, it's 50s and 60s, I'm telling you, and they're comfortable bathrobe. But here's how you can make your own chenille. And those towels that I made for the fall, I used this very same fabric and I used it in the chenille pattern to make a trivet or a hot pad or something matching like that. Isn't that cool? With the matching then binding on there. Now, here's a little tip for you. See the stripes here, the rows, very subtle. This is what I use to chenille, but this on the very top layer, I found a couple of strips, made a couple of strips of matching fabric, and I just laid it down here and then white right here, and it's stitched right through these. And then when I chenilled it out, then you get that subtle stripe in there. And that's how you can make it all unique and very creative. And there it is in both a letter and in the little bear. So here's some of the tools that you would have. And look at the fabric. So this is before it's frayed out, but then when it's frayed out totally, look at how it's muted and kind of blends together. And here is your chenille cutter with an adjustable or a various sizes of guides or blades that will go right in between the fabric and it will cut the fabric. Now it looks like a rotary cutter, but this blade doesn't move. It engages in this space so that when you put that tongue in between those rows, then it will cut. Okay. Then you're going to get your fray brush, beautiful fray brush, perfect for this. The nylon bristles are just the right stiffness to just fray that out. So this is a really fun technique. And I know Reen has done a lot of techniques with the chenille. And so have I. I couldn't help doing little Miss Fuzzy Pants here, this little sheep. And look, when I designed this, I had the chenille going this way for the body, but then turned it a different way so that you could differentiate her little top knot there. And this, although it's got fuzz on it, this I wanted to be that opaque, rich color of Caesar's Strip Flock Pro HTV. And that gives that really deep color where I could do these eye accents and that just little bit of a nose for little Miss Sheep there. Now, here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Experiment with different fabrics because you just never kind of know what you're going to get in this chenille. So also know that in your quilting cottons, they are printed and they're printed with the ink on one side of the fabric. The other side of the fabric is that lighter color. So the ink is on this side. So for example, on this array, I did this heart and I made the rows pretty wide apart. And now you get those long fuzzes there. And so you get that stripe with still that color going through. On this one, I had a leftover fat quarter bundle and I arranged that in the color series and did another heart. The rows are a little bit closer together, but this was not at all what I thought it was going to turn out as. It was better. It's kind of a lanyard there. It's got this denim heathery look out of this. And so I thought this would be perfect, for an accent on a jean jacket or just about anything. I love that. And it's so soft and heathery. Now, here's a tip. Fabric like this, which is looks like it's a homespun and it's got this metallic thread accent through it. This is yarn dyed, which means that the yarns are dyed before it is woven into this fabric so that it looks the same on both sides. This is a great fabric to consider for chenille, but I want to make sure that when you arrange your chenille, the stitches have to go on the bias of the fabric in order to get the raveling and without it falling apart. So if I was going to, when I did this, I arranged my layers, but I turned them on the 90 degrees because this is the straight and long grain. This is the cross grain and straight grain. So I had to turn it 90 degrees so that the stitching went on the bias. Because if you don't do that, when you fray it out, it's just going to fall apart. So there's that. All right, let's look at the fringe because that's fun. Here's the fringe. Now, here's a couple of samples that I stitched out to show you, first of all, a couple of different of the fringe elements that are in the software, how they stitch out, and then how they look when they're fringed out. So it's really cool. These look like almost like shells, and you get this long loopy fringe. But take a look at these little flowers in the middle. This was done from a color play thread kit. There's the variegated in the middle, looks great in fringe with the solid colors on either side, right? And so this is that stitch out that we saw in the photos. And so here they are. You've got these fringe elements here and there and the fringe elements here. And what you would do then is you just turn it to the back, and then you're going to get these great Karen K. Buckley scissors. And right here on the back of that green, we've cut the bobbin threads. But let's do a couple of these. These haven't been cut out, but I'm going to show you. So see the white stripe right there? That's the bobbin thread. So all I have to do is slide my scissors right underneath, and I'm just clipping that white bobbin thread. As you can see right there, I'm going to clip it. I'm going to go the other way. So I'm going to clip that right there, just the white. And then, okay, that's where I'm going to tease out. And so look at how easily that releases. And you've got that nice, cute fringe. And of course, then I would do that all the way around. That's how easy it is. Here's that fringe there. And I would either get that stitch ripper or just slide right under here and cut those bobbin threads. Okay. And look at what you can do. Here's a little Miss Sheep as a little baby sheep, and she's got fringe for her wool instead of chenille. And again, the baby quilt, look at this giraffe. All of these are in the software. A little fringe for his mane. And I really don't love doing test stitch outs, but on this one, on the fringe, I did because I was going to use various threads, and I just wanted to see how they stitched out when I did this. And so I did little Miss Poodle here with glitter HTV as the body, and then for the top knot, the ruff, and the pom-poms on the legs, I did the fringe. And again, this is how it looks stitched out, and I used variegated thread coordinated with the solids, and you really get that depth and dimension then when you do your fringe. So you get that variegated thread. And I love the pink one so much, I did it in black also. But I still haven't quite decided what I am going to do with these. Well, you know what I am going to do? I'm going to do another one of these in maybe apricot, because I love apricot poodles, and silver. I love silver gray poodles. So there's the fringe. It's so fun to do. And I think that tells me that I am going to now bring Tammy in, and maybe she can help me one more time. What do I do with those poodles? Anybody have any ideas?
I was going to ask you what you plan on doing with those poodles.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna send them to you.
I know. Well, I think you did tell me those are in the mail too, but obviously they're not, right?
Yeah, no, they're not. They're right here.
Yeah. Well, and I have a couple of questions for you. For instance, you were showing them that their artwork, the SVG files, our artwork, like our FCM and our
Right.
SVG. So can I bring those into the software and use any of those designs that I have to fill it in with these special effects?
You can absolutely, and that's what keeps this so exciting. So if you've got a way to scan a drawing, like a scan and cut, or somehow to generate, or a source of vector files, SVG files, yes, you can bring those into the software and you can apply these effects to them.
I had somebody over here in the chat and they said they want a tote bag with those poodles. So
That would
that's an
be
idea too.
cool. That
Yeah,
would be cool. That would be cool. So I'm thinking like a wall hanging, a tote bag. Somebody suggested a poodle skirt. That'd
I
be
did
cool.
see that too. Somebody I said a skirt over here.
Yeah.
Well, back to my questions that I have for you. In the software, we have some that are already digitized for, say, the plaid. If I don't want to use plaid, can I change that to a fill stitch versus having a plaid, or do I have to stick to what they are with?
No, if it's digitized for plaid, I I'm thinking through this, Tammy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They can just convert that to a regular fill stitch. If you like the
Yeah,
something that's a plaid, I think there was a mix master or something in there that was already a plaid. Just turn it to a fill stitch and stitch that out.
yep.
Yeah,
It's that simple and easy to do.
yeah.
All right, Amy. Well, that looks like all the questions I have at this time. I know there's a lot more you go over. We only have about 20 minutes. Hopefully you can finish. So I'll see you at the finish line.
Okay, let's see what else we have to do because we've got to do. Um, I think I did those. I did those, right? I did those. Talk to Tammy. I'm trying to find my slides. Oh, right. I'm going to show you some of the products. So we did the chenille cutter and we've got that on special. It cuts the layers between in the channels. Here's what you need for chenille, both right and left-handed use on that same cutter. And there's 4 different adjustable guides that go through there. There's the fray brush. Like I said, those nylon bristles are the perfect stiffness to fray out, not only for chenille, but also if you're going to do like a rag quilt seam or if you're going to fray out a raw edge applique for that vintage look, you can use this. And you saw in the video, we did a water soluble topping on top of the chenille. That's very helpful to keep that needle assembly from catching those different layers. And this is what you need for chenille, water soluble topping. It goes on top. It does not go in the hoop. It's on top. Okay. Because we use that a lot when we are stitching embroidery designs on napped fabric, terry cloth towels, sweaters, fleece, anything like that. We need a water soluble topper. For chenille, I also would recommend the lightweight firm tearaway. So here's the firm tearaway coming in. You can use it for wovens. It's for light to medium stitch counts, which those bean stitches, which is what your chenille is going to be perfect for that. And it'll tear cleanly away from those bean stitches without tearing them out. And those Karen K. Buckley scissors, perfect for clipping your chenille or for clipping your fringe. And make sure that you have the right needle for so many of these effects. So let's talk a little bit about needles, especially needle sizes. There's 4 different sizes, blade sizes, that we use for our machines, all the way from 65.9 to 90.14. The higher the numbers, the bigger around, the stronger, the thicker the needle blade. Now, for embroidery machines, 7511 is the most commonly used because that's best for a wide range of fabric types. We don't go up in size unless we're doing heavier webbing or heavy denim or canvas or something like that. We also have various points on the needle. We have sharp points, we have ball points. And I bet you're thinking like, aren't all the needles sharp? Well, this has to do with kind of the anatomy of the point of the needle. Most of the embroidery needles you probably use are light or modified ball points. And sharp point needles are perfect for wovens. They penetrate that woven fabric cleanly with a small footprint. And our needle sampler pack from Dime is perfect because we've got the 2 different types of points in all 4 sizes. So make sure that that goes in your cart. And look at all of the options for Caesar Heat Transfer Vinyl, HTV. We've got Glitter HTV and we've got the Strip Flock Pro, which is that HTV with that suede, opaque, really rich colors. Now, to use these with embroidery designs, as I showed you in the samples, all you do is you take off the carrier sheet and you use it then as an applique fabric. You either got a glittery piece of fabric or a real suede textural piece of fabric. And these 2 HTVs actually tear away from your steel stitch, from your satin stitch. You don't have to trim while it's in the hoop. And we've got these on sale, on special. Now, if you're looking for glitter, you're going to look for the Shimmer and Shine packs. If you're looking for the Strip Flock Pro, then those are in the Retro Plush packs. And we've got all kinds of colors and all kinds of single colors and a rainbow pack. Make sure you click that green view product bar to get the color that you want. But look at this bundle that we put together. I promised you we would talk about this bundle. Here's what's in it. Here's what's in the Special Effects Essential Bundle. It's right on the top row. The chenille cutter, the fray brush, the Karen K. Buckley scissors, the water-soluble topping, everything that you need for the chenille. But hang on, there's more. Mylar, which we were going to talk about, embroidery foam, which we're going to talk about, and some glitter HTV from Caesar, and a color play thread kit, and those 3 designs that I showed you at the very beginning, the watermelon and the little birdie with the fringe tail and that paw print. Okay, let's look at the last set of special stitches with special touches, and that's the emboss, mylar, and foam. Let's talk about the emboss first. Now, this is also a very hot, very trendy technique, and it's been so popular for a couple of years. It's a very simple technique, but it's usually applied to a napped or a pile fabric. And the pile or the nap is stitched down, and the design is imparted by the negative space, the space where there aren't any stitches. And that allows that pile or that nap to show through. We use it on fleece, terry cloth, plush fabrics. We also can use it on vinyl, not so much because it's a plush fabric, is just because it goes well with the embossing. We use a stabilizer appropriate for the fabric, and we use a water-soluble topper. So you want to make sure that you get some water-soluble topper today. The emboss fill, which is a technique in special effects, builds that emboss pattern automatically. And here's what you need. You need a design or some type of artwork for the center. You need, and I'm going to sneeze, sorry. You need a border for the outside that defines where the embossed is going to go. And that's what you get. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do in the software. Stay tuned. But first, we're going to talk about Mylar. We'll talk about all these effects, and then I'll show you the samples, and I'll show you the software. Using Mylar film is so easy because it adds sparkle and shine to the embroidery, whether you're doing text or whether you're doing a design, and it's versatile for that. The Mylar that we use is from Dime. It's a blue opalescent color because we think that's the best color because the overstitched thread stays true. That means that if you stitch white on it, it looks white. The yellow thread looks yellow. And it really is that best color for that iridescent, shimmery, sparkling effect. And in our pack of Mylar, you get large sheets. They're 9x9. So you get a lot of Mylar to do a lot of different projects. Okay, so here's the video again. We've got our strawberry to do, and the strawberry is Mylar. So here's how that works. The first thing that is going to stitch is the placement stitch for the Mylar. And then you bring in that piece of Mylar. It's just a piece of plastic. You stitch it down. It's okay if it gets a crease in it. Don't worry about that. And then you stitch that very special fill stitch that stitches right on top of it. And it is so easy then to lift right off the edges, just as you see there. Now we got a Mylar strawberry. Okay, here's a tip. Your Mylar can be stitched on any surface except dry clean, because Mylar will not dry clean. It'll wash, but it won't dry clean. Use the stabilizer appropriate for the fabric. Mylar doesn't need anything special. Use the needle for the fabric. Mylar doesn't need anything special. And use polyester embroidery thread and that blue opalescent Mylar. And there's your recipe for great looking Mylar designs. But you have to know that embroidery designs are specially digitized for Mylar, because you saw in the video, it needs a placement stitch, it needs a tack down stitch, it needs some special underlay sometimes or some base stitches, but then the fill stitch that goes on top has to be of a specific density so that Mylar can shine through. Now, where do you get these designs? Well, if you know the recipe and the techniques, you can digitize it manually, or there are a number of design houses that sell designs specifically for Mylar. And that was the only source of them. But not now, because we have a Mylar fill tool in special effects software that allows you to apply those special technical specs for Mylar designs in one click. Yeah, one click. All right, I'll show you that next time we go to the software, but now let's talk about foam. 3D embroidery foam, one of my favorite techniques because it really does add a lot of dimension and texture and fun to your embroidery. It basically, you lay the foam right on the surface, you stitch right over it, and then you lift that foam off because it's cut by the stitches. You can do it in designs and you can do it in text. And we have 3D embroidery foam used on the seeds on our cupcakes. So take a look. Here's how easy it is. It goes real quick. We're ready to stitch the seeds. We have threaded our machine with thread that matches the black foam that we're going to use for the seeds. We just put the foam right underneath the needle. It stitches right on top of the foam, right through the foam, and watch how easily it lifts right off of the seeds when we're finished stitching. That easy. Yep, because all of that foam is cut by those needle perforations. Now, when you're using foam in fonts, that also requires a special digitizing because, usually in these foam fonts that we see on athletic wear, they're big, wide satin stitches, or if it's more of a script, it's got tapers at the end, and maybe there's a line around it, an outline around it. Those are special stitches that cut and encase the ends of the foam because you don't want the ends of the foam sticking out, at the end of the A or the end of the D. And so those stitches are special. They're called caps that we put in those fonts. But in special effects software, you get 13 fonts already digitized for foam. So you don't have to worry about digitizing. You can get any one of these 13 fonts, and some of them are really fun to do. All right, now let me just walk you through a set of these photos that shows you how easy it is to stitch out a foam font on an apron. Okay, so on the bib of that apron, we're going to stitch those letters created to create. Now, in that first photo, we've got a target sticker that indicates where the center of the design is so that we can place that apron bib on our sticky hoop, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But this is a one-piece sticky hoop that's perfect for aprons because we've got the straps and the bib that's, hard to hoop. Perfect. So we've got the apron on the sticky hoop. We stitch a placement stitch that tells us where to put the big sheet of foam. We've got thread color that matches the foam color, and we stitch right on top of it our entire text, just like you see there. Then that foam lifts cleanly off. We may have to get our tweezers and just pull the foam out of those closed spaces of the letters, but it's easy to do that. But here's a tip. Invariably, when you've got a text with foam like that, there's little pieces of foam that want to stick out in between the threads. Get a craft level heat gun, not something that's going to take wallpaper off, but just heat up that foam. It recedes back underneath those stitches, and you get that nice clean finish. Our 3D embroidery foam comes in a variety pack, a whole bunch of colors there, so you'll have the color for whatever project that you need. This is a nice, consistent 3mm thick foam, and you can wash it and tumble dry it. Don't gift the craft foam, which you can get a bucket full at the big box stores. It won't wash and it crumbles. And you know where those crumbles are going? Either in your machine or in your dryer. So get the 3D embroidery foam. It's great for designs. It brings some great highlights. And even in designs, it needs special digitizing because you need a placement stitch, you need a special density, and you need a different underlay. So you've got so many of these effects already in the software. So let's bounce back to the software and let's see some of these. So I got a new page right here. Let's first see how easy it is to create our own foam design. And I'm going to start with an artwork. And I've got these cute little flip-flops my eye picked out. Easy to show you how easy it is. So these are just some flip-flops. And I'm going to do the top of these in foam. So not the bottom I could do a complex fill or plaid or whatever I wanted, but these I want to have with foam. So the first thing I've got to do is convert it to a steel stitch. And then once I have that steel stitch in there, I've got the foam where I can convert it to foam, which puts that specific density and underlay in there. What was that? 2 clicks. And now I've got a foam design. You can also use this on existing designs. And again, watch this. I'm going to go back to the animals in this design library, and I'm going to get the zebra. And again, the kids quilt. I got the zebra there, and maybe I want to do the zebra stripes in foam. Wouldn't that be fun? So I'm going to ungroup so that I can find the segment, the color segment that is Mr. Zebra Stripes. There they are. I can click the foam icon, and now I can put foam underneath those stripes. Easy peasy. I also want to show you these great foam fonts. So let me just click that big puffy text for F. And there's all the foam fonts you get. This Old English puffy, which just happened to be the default, comes up, and it is so cool. Let me do a couple of letters in there. That'll show you how cool this font is. You put foam underneath there. You've got that outline around that. Do that in whatever colors you want, whatever initials you want. And it's a quick, easy stitch out. So is our Mylar effect. So if I wanted to add Mylar to, and again, I'm back to the animals, to maybe this, I'm looking for the fish, because fish are shiny and shimmery, right? It would be cool to do maybe this, here's this little trigger fish in Mylar. And so there he is right there. He's probably already got Mylar on there, right there for his center. But if I wanted to bring in a different fish and apply that, I can get this Mr. Tuna, Charlie Tuna fish, which was right here. There we go. There's Charlie the tuna. And I'm going to do his belly. So I'm going to find that segment. And with one click, so that white shimmering part, I'm going to click the Mylar fill. And now that's going to be a Mylar digitizing. I'll put that under there. And wow, that would really look cool, wouldn't it? All right. So now let's do emboss. Ooh, I'm going to be late. So let's do emboss, because I'll show you really quick. For doing the emboss, you can pick a border, but let me just pick a rounded rectangle, something like that. So that will be my border. And true to the season, I'm going to pick then something for Christmas. Santa's beard. You know, this might be cool to stitch on a terry cloth towel, right? Maybe Santa's beard is too big. I'll make this rectangle, maybe about that big. So all I have to do is put Santa's beard in there. I can center them all up because I've got centering and editing tools. Make Santa's beard maybe a little bit bigger, okay? You with me there? I'll make him zoom in. So now what I'm going to select both of those, and what's important is that I combine them, all right? Then, now they are all one artwork. I click the emboss fill, and in one fell swoop, I can change. Maybe that's a good pattern. I'm looking for a good emboss pattern. Any of these, look at all the ones that I got to choose from. That might be a good one to do. And now I've got that emboss fill in the back. And this white part, if I stitch this on some white fuzzy or a white terry cloth towel, that would be cool. You got the Santa's beard right there. And you can even do something like this if you wanted to do something like that. So I'm going to go to camera really quick because I've got to show you the samples. And then we'll bring Tammy in for some last questions. So here's the foam letters, great letters. These are all in the software. Do it for maybe a pet bandana. These are some of the foam fonts. That scary one is cool. Do them for patches. For the Mylar, remember those shimmery fish? Isn't that cool? And this for St. Patrick's Day towel I created. There's Mylar. You just lay it right on top of these designs, stitch right through them, and you've got that Mylar effect. There's those flamingos stitched out. This is a snap tray. I have it flattened out so that I can show you, but you just put snaps here, buttons here, ties here, and you got, there's a nice quick stitch out gift in the hoop. The emboss feature, do the embossing in different colors of thread, in concentric shapes. Do it in metallic thread for ornaments, or do it on vinyl. And there's the hoop that you would want to use for vinyl. This is our sticky hoop, one-piece hoop that you see here. I've put sticky stabilizer on the back, and now I can place that vinyl right there with a water-soluble topper, and I can stitch that embossed letter. So we are out of time. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we have so many options and goodies in the shopping plaza. We've got variegated thread, we've got metallic thread, we've got all kinds of bundles and shapes. So why don't I bring Tammy in to see what questions we have at the very end.
Well, and that was a lot of great information. I did remind them they have until Sunday evening they can rewatch this, because I know for myself, I had to watch it over and over so that I could follow along with you after I get my software to do that little Santa's beard, because I think he would be adorable on a little towel for somebody. You know,
Yes.
I don't know about you, Ain, but I always have these last minute gifts that I forgot somebody that I had to stitch up for, and that would be a very cute one to do.
Very cute. You saw like 2 clicks to do it. Stitch it out on a towel, put a water-soluble topper on that, stitch that out, no thread changes. It's one thread, and it would be so cool. It'd be cute.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do want to Riddle, the last name Riddle over here, we're having some problems with your shopping cart. We are aware of it. I have people on the other end that's trying to help me out. If you're still here, just let me know if you're still having problems, and I will stay until it is fixed. Like I said, I have some people behind scenes working on it. We are aware of it. So just let me know if you're still here in the shopping cart. But Ain, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. It was my pleasure working with them. And it's always a pleasure. I'm always excited to see what new things you bring. And I can't wait to get my towels.
Oh, yes. Okay, Tammy, I'll go right now to the post office and get those right off to you. Okay. Yeah. Tammy, thanks so much for your help. And thanks so much for your dedication in getting the people what they need. If they're having issues, we do apologize for that. But Tammy is on it. And that's all I have to say. And I also want to thank Reen Wilcoxon of Embroidery Garden for sponsoring this program today. We love Reen. We love bringing her. She brings us so many good viewers, and we love working with her. So thank you guys for watching. On behalf of everyone from Dime by OESD, we want to wish you a very happy and peaceful, merry holiday season. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Reen. I'm Ain McCarthy. I'll see you next time.